all I thought the whole time I'm watching the first two episodes was this is like Mulan, but like if Mulan didn't have to be conscripted and wear a mask.
Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to a pod. Today we're going to do a hodgepodge again of 4 summer C-dramas, 2 wrap-up ones in that we talked about them before, and 2 new ones that we checked out, albeit briefly. So the 4 dramas are Deep Affection Eyes, which we had done a pod earlier in which we said, we loved the episodes we've seen, and now we've both finished it. And then 7 Relics of Ill Omen from earlier in the summer. And then more recently, 2, I guess, costume dramas premiered, although they're very different genres. One is the Immortal, not the Immortal, I guess. Yeah, it is the Immortal Ascension, right? Starring Yang
Is it?
and everyone else. Yeah. And then doesn't matter. 凡人修仙传 whatever. It's a video game basically. And then The Legend of the Female General. It's like a mouthful. I mean, I think the title tells you all, right? What that's about. So
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about each briefly because otherwise this can go on forever. Albeit, we haven't finished the last 2, and we're not sure. I'm not sure I'm gonna finish both. Al, you may have different sentiments. So let's start with the earlier in the summer ones. Why don't we start with the one you just finished, Deep Affection
Mhm.
Eyes?
Yes. I was like behind you a few days, right? You finished it. You're like, "Oh, it's good. It's good." So, um yeah, when we last spoke, I think we only saw the first 10 episodes and we were hoping definitely that we were really liking it, so we were hoping it wouldn't go downhill because some shows start
Mm-hmm.
off really strong and then they go downhill. I would say this show for me ended really nicely. Like full package deal, beginning to end love story that really worked. And
Mm-hmm.
there's like there's several climaxes near the end. They tied everything up really nicely. And my favorite scenes, we can talk about it later, but like I just think it was definitely one of those where it did not disappoint when you got to the end. You just felt happy. You felt happy for all of the characters. You felt like everybody got their justice. Like the ones that needed punishment got punishment, and whatever questions that were ailing the characters, they got their answers. And so for me, it was a short show. It was only 26 episodes, but it was like the full package done very nicely for me.
Yeah, I would say that the show definitely did not disappoint, though when we first talked about it, we were very much enthralled by the kind of sexiness of it all, right? And I would
Mm-hmm.
say that
Mm-hmm.
that mellowed out in the second half, but that's okay, right? It was a very
Yes.
natural kind of like progression of their relationship. But honestly, if you step back, right, if you look at this show or the story, it's not even the show; it's based on as most of these, right, on online novel. The plot is kind of ridiculous, and there
Yeah, I
really
didn't
isn't
say
much of a
that
plot.
there was.
there
Yeah.
there is no plot, right? But and what plot does occur is pretty wild, but it sets them up for certain tropey situations, and so it's all about whether the tropes as executed land. And I would say it landed, right? Because think about this: the
Mm-hmm.
progression they go through is older woman, younger man meet. He kind of plays hard to get, right? But then it's really like he likes her, so then they get together, and it's sexy, and they get married like instantaneously, and you're like, what?
Yeah, that was a
And
little
then
crazy.
and then it was like immediate road to divorce almost, right? And you're like, what?
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of that, and you're just like, because they really just don't know each other. It's really
No.
it's like, remember I said this at the beginning. I said it reminds me of my your own dating experience, right? Kind of that tenuousness, the nervous shyness.
Yes.
Um, so the whole show is kind of like, how do you figure other people out and fall in love, basically, and make it a solid love. So in that sense, I think the show succeeded for me. It resonated in that way, and it was a very comfortable watch. Like, this is what I want to watch when I want a Harlequin romance type of adaptation, right?
Yes.
Except, no, not Harlequin. Harlequin's kind of boring. You know what I mean? You know, I don't want my Barbara Cartland novels. I want like Jude Deveraux in her heyday. So I'm sure most people are like, what are they talking about?
So yes, I think like basically shortly after they start dating, he's like, let's get married, and he does it. Like there's no, like that whole scene was like the most, like part of the strangest scene because it was like, is it believable? Probably not. But then it catapults them into the story because the next thing is that they finally reveal his background, which I had mentioned in the first podcast that we did about it. We don't know him. He's like an enigma. We don't know his backstory, or they kind of give you snippets, but so it turns out he comes from a rich family, but he's been abandoned by his mother because he's a product of a sexual assault. So she kind of hates him, and then when her husband died, who is the biological father of his younger brother, and he was the one driving the car, and the dad died in the car accident. So now his mother really hates him. Like she's like, you're like a product of something terrible, and then you took away like the love of my life, right? So he has this really sad backstory, but he's loved by the father's mother, the stepfather's mother, and so he's like a lost soul. And you had mentioned the story. I feel like the second half of the story is really like his redemption because he's the one who's looking for love. I think the female lead, she doesn't have that heavy a burden, right? She's had some like weird quirks in life, and she's disappointed by something that happened at work, but she doesn't have this heavy trauma the way he does. And
He
so, and
saves him.
actually yeah, she says something. And there's a scene at the end where she basically is like, "Oh, I'm here to protect you," and
Yeah.
that's the relationship. So, yeah.
Yes. That's why it's refreshing in that she is the savior, which is I think every girl's dream, right? Like I said, remember in the first part I said how many broken, handsome guys are out there just like straggling around waiting to be saved? None in the
Yes.
real world.
Yes.
But
Yes.
this is your fantasy, right? The female fantasy of like, I'm gonna meet that guy, I'm gonna not fix him up because he's not a fixer upper. It's more like someone needs to help him come out of his shell and live, and she's
Mhm.
that person. So this is the fantasy in that sense. If you watch it as that kind of romantic fantasy, this is a really well done show. um I don't read too much into the whole his story evolution. Forget that, man. It's just like, let's put all the tropes out there and live it and enjoy it. And that's how I watched it, and I enjoyed it. And then I think so. I did try to read the novel, and by read, most oftentimes when I say that, I'm listening to the audiobook, right? Because it's easier for me that way. I don't have to read and hurt my eyes. And I think they mellowed the mother's character out. I know, can you believe? In the show, again, I didn't get to
Yeah.
the end. Right, she's a pretty horrible person, but they kind of made her somewhat more redeemable humanity-wise in that they gave her the reason of blah blah blah. I think it's still the same reason, the sexual assault resulting in all of this stuff, but I think she
Mhm.
was actually like a sort of like a serial murder killer.
Oh,
Sorry, in some ways, because she did kill people in the book, I believe. It was in the show they mellowed that down. She never actually killed anyone, I don't
right.
believe.
Was she doing it just because people got in her way, or was she like really
I didn't
crazy?
read the
Like,
book. What I
oh.
could gather from skimming the ending, maybe I could be misreading. So if anyone's read the actual novel and want to correct me, feel free, okay? Um, I got the sense that she felt she was superior to
Mm.
others, and she
Mhm.
like a self-righteousness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So which you can see with that her type of personality. What I also liked about the show is that despite all the silly tropes and stuff, it's pretty fast paced. Like things go from one to the other very quickly. There is no prolonged misunderstanding other than to serve in the romantic angst capacity,
Yes.
which only I think lasted a few episodes of them like
Yeah.
ignoring each other, not talking to each other because of you know um she found out who he was basically, and she
Right.
thought he might be hiding the secrets of her whole mother's death, right? Which, I mean,
Yes.
come on, the guy did come across very sus, which is like, come on, dude, like how stupid can you be? So that said, let's talk about the most important thing because time is limited on this. Episode 22, which I did text you at the time because I was way
Yes.
ahead of you, and I said, "Oh, and you know how I feel about weddings, right?" I'm like, Ugh.
You know how I feel
sorry.
about weddings.
Yes, you're like, "Oh, I love weddings." Woohoo. Okay, maybe that's not how you sound, but you're like we're polar opposites, okay? And I actually texted you saying, "Wow, this is the most heartwarming wedding or sweetest wedding scene I've ever seen." Well, wedding episode, really. It's not a whole. It's a whole episode, basically. Well, half the episode, maybe.
Yeah, half the
Um,
episode.
was their wedding, and it was like their actual wedding, not them officially getting the license to get married, right? Um, and I was like, wow, this is the sweetest wedding I've ever seen. Like, in that it's not fluffy sweet, in that it's fantastical. It's actually very genuine, right? And that's why I texted you. And then when you finally got there, you're like, yeah, this is so good. So I have to ask you,
Yeah.
before this show, you loved the wedding from Are You the One? Albeit very
Yes.
different genres, very
Yes.
different shows. How does this compare? If you had to pick one.
I mean, it's different because like that one was costume. So I think because they
Yeah.
did the whole very traditional way, it was still really cute because I think a lot of times a lot of C dramas just cut it or they abridge it. And I'm sure they abridged it anyways, but it felt complete from beginning to end for Are You the One? I think here, because it's modern, and actually it's funny because both grandmothers wanted two different, like they each wanted a type of wedding. One wanted the Chinese
Yes.
traditional wedding, and one wanted the Western wedding, and they were bickering, and they got both, right? So the bride just changed her dress, and I feel like they paid homage to both very well. And what I loved is that they actually did it at their home, which was overlooking the ocean, right? Remember we talked about how like, oh, these are so old dilapidated houses, but they foreshadowed because she had asked him for a garden. Like she's like, "Oh, don't you think these flowers covering this building look pretty?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever." And he didn't say no to her, but then because he knows it's like her dream look, like the whole, so both buildings are covered like so many flowers. I mean, it's probably real and fake mixed together. And then because it's overlooking the ocean, they have like a flower archway and they're doing the vows there. So I would say I would pick this one because it's actually, I think, even though it's fantasy for a drama, like if you were a couple today in love, this is an attainable wedding in some ways. This is something you can do on a smaller scale. You can't like, have a million flowers,
Yeah.
but I think it's something that like if you are like, "Oh, what kind of nice wedding would I want?" Like the way they set it up here, it was done very well. And I think also I was telling you that because we have met like their families and friends in different like
Mm-hmm.
times within the drama, by the time you get to the wedding, you feel like you're part of the audience.
Yep.
You're joining
Yep.
in with the family to watch them get married. And actually, I was very emotional. I mean, I know it's a C drama, but I was like, oh, it's like so
No, no,
sweet the way
no.
they're like doing their vows, you know?
I I wholeheartedly agree with you. Like, I did not look at the two weddings as objectively, like the way of like, well, which one's more intricate and interesting, like, the artifacts or the ceremonial aspects. I looked at it, is this a wedding I want to be at? And I was like, this is the wedding I want to be at, right? Maybe not as
Mm,
the person getting married, but if it was my wedding, that's how I want my wedding to feel, right? I mean, did I feel that way at my own wedding? I don't think so. But I was too busy playing like, host, right? But you know what I mean?
hmm
Like it was so genuine. The love was gushing out, like you said, from them, from the family. It was very just. It had a lot of heart, and
Yes.
that's all I'll
Yes.
say, right? But I think that's very much indicative of how I felt. I was just like, oh, I'm just like, uh, awash in what is it, warmth and fluffiness. I think that's what you were saying too, right? When watching the
hmm
episode, and I was like, oh. I'm so happy for them. That's what I think. That's why when you said, "Oh, it's kind of funny," I almost got emotional. I'm like, no, I kind of felt emotional. Not like I want to cry, but it was like, oh, flutters, like I felt
Yeah.
for them.
hmm
So, so if you made it that far, right? 22 is like very much near the end. It's only a 26 episode show. Definitely do not fast forward to the wedding because it's a good episode. And from there on, like they start tying up all of the happy ending kind of loose ends, and it's a wholly happy ending, right? Like you said, everyone who deserved the happy ending got it. Like all the side characters we liked, right? The best friend and the and the guy.
Kai. I love Kai. He grew on me. No, okay, we skipped the part where they were like mad at each other. So when they get back, they get somehow her old company gets involved in his company, and like nobody knows they're already married, and then her ex-boss is still trying to like hit on her, and he's about to do a confession scene. Like that part was hilarious because his other friend like learns about it, and
Yes.
he's trying to like not hurt his friend's heart, and not let him find out the truth yet because he's not supposed to know. And like there's a lot of shenanigans in that part, and I texted you, it's like the dynamic of them being secretly married, but like nobody knowing, and then thinking that they don't like each other was very interesting. You know, before we get to the wedding, right, when they finally overcome all of the disagreements. But yeah, I think like the way they did a lot of these little setups, like tropey as it is, it really worked. And by the time you get to the end, like you said, and like how I felt, is just like everything just fit like a really good puzzle. I felt complete watching it. Sometimes you watch these, you feel like, oh, the female lead had to carry more of the show, or the male lead, did more and didn't deserve didn't deserve that kind of treatment or whatever. I feel like here, everybody just really gave it their all in playing these characters. And,
Yep.
also I think kudos to the scriptwriters or whoever else worked on it, but it just worked. And yeah, I just in like Kai, the second male lead, like I think he's the second male lead, but I love his character because he is also pulled into that mess with everyone thought he was the secret husband, and they were all so mean to him, and he's just like, yeah, give me some money and I'll divorce her. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, you're so morally corrupt. What is she
500,000
receiving?
or whatever number
What
he
it-
said. So
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so in the
Yes.
interest of time, we have to move on. But before we do so, a final wrap up in terms of ratings. Now, originally we had done this on 10 out of, right, 26 episodes. Now that you finished the whole thing, do you need a
Mm.
moment? I can go first if you need me to go first.
You can go first.
All right, my rating would be 8.95, slightly higher than I think what I gave it last time.
8.95.
I know, you're like, what? There's 2
I didn't,
decimal. So
didn't
I know you're
expect
like,
that.
what is wrong with her? So the reason is because I feel like it could almost round up to a 9, but it's really not objectively a 9.0 type of drama if you look at the silliness of it all, right? But if I take
Mm.
all of that off and I go, if I describe this to someone and watch it for the chemistry, for the heat, for the romance, for the heart flutter, and it is heart flutter, like warmth. Like you start with, oh, I'm gonna fan myself, and then you end going, oh, I'm gonna hug myself. So I feel like that it's that kind of progression. You know what I mean?
Mm. Okay. I think in my head it was like a 9.2. That's where I landed.
Oh, oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I was surprised because okay, I will say it's not like I watched this and go, oh, I'm a huge fan of the male actor suddenly, right? Like I don't
mhm.
feel that way about it. But I think a whole show, like
Yes.
the way all the characters kind of played out, and in terms of how the story also handled itself, like you didn't get like one of those vague endings, or you didn't get one of those horrible like crash landings, right? You just kind of got, oh yeah, at the very end they find out she's pregnant, so then now he's gonna be a dad. I mean, it's really like trope upon trope, cheese upon cheese, but like it was like the good kind, you know?
And they answered my question. Did they do the deed? They finally
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Sometime, right? Like that's the thing. You're like, oh, we never saw like a true like love scene. Like they did have love scenes, so I should take that back. They had very hot like kisses and stuff, but then they never like it almost felt like they were always interrupted. Like right,
Mm.
because he always was like, I gotta go take a shower. You're like, really? Like, dude. Um,
Yeah, so she is pregnant at the very end, and like even like his grandmother, yeah, she had to get brain surgery, and she's fine, she's recovering. Like everyone's fine, People there's no sudden death of a character you really like, and suddenly they're gone. So I would say the general feeling I got after it ended, I was like, oh, that was a good run. So like
Mhm.
9.2, despite some of the soap opera scenarios, but I didn't mind that.
That's fine. It was in service of the main mood of the show, so it worked in that sense, right? You
Mm-hmm.
take it for
Mm-hmm.
what it is.
Yep.
All right, so moving on. Seven Relics, which
Yes.
you did not finish. Where were you? Were you still at the giant clam, or you moved beyond that?
I think I was about to start like episode 13, so maybe 12. I paused at 12, finished 12,
Mm,
and then I
mm-hmm.
never had chance to continue. I didn't intend to drop it. I might still keep going, but I don't know. Maybe you'll
Well,
tell me whether
no.
it's
So
worth it or not.
it's worth it. I would definitely recommend. It's a high recommend, just like Deep Affection Eyes, but in a very different genre. I think the issue with the show is it took me this long to finish it because I was so distracted by so many other shows at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an episodic type of show. Like, remember we said it could be almost like a serialized American show where it would just go on forever, and you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
continuously watch it, like binge it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be binged. That's the problem. You can watch a few episodes at a time for an arc. In fact, one of our friends who just started the show just said, "Hey, I finished. The giant clam died, so it's a very short arc." Because I told them, I was like, "Hey, so at one point they fight a giant clam. Did you know? Ha ha ha." So, anyways, that's my point. Like, remember I said, "Oh, I was watching Seven Relics again. I meant to watch 1 episode, and I always end up like watching 3 at a time because it would be like that kind of momentum through an
Mm-hmm.
arc, and then they'll be sort of like mellow down a little bit, and you're like, okay, this is a good pausing point, and then I go back to my other shows that I was watching at the same time. So that's why it took so long. But overall, it's a very good show, I think. Yes, some people might say, gosh, it looks almost cartoonish. Like I said, it's like a CW, right, or UPN show.
UPN. Sorry. I have
No,
UPN in a
nobody
long time.
remembers UPN. Um, some people would say watch it for the visuals because it's a very beautiful young cast, right? And
Yes.
I think they're very well cast. We said this in our earlier pod. So everything was pretty consistent except to the end. One thing I'll point out the flaw with it is that at the end, the ending's a little bit anticlimactic, I would say. The final battle arc.
Mm.
But it's a happy ending. Everyone comes out alive, and in fact, you end up having 2 CPs. The main CP never kissed because of the no kissing clause of
Mm-hmm.
the female actress, as you know. But what that means is the second CP actually cinches a
They
kiss
have
at
to
the
make
very
up
end.
for it.
Yes,
They
which
have
I'm
to
like,
kiss.
hey, if I have to watch someone kiss, I'd rather watch Ari Pen smooch the second female lead, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
they're a
Mm-hmm.
really hot couple, and you get to see Ari Pen wearing like a white suit at the end, and he looks really good. So, anyways, I can stop gushing about him for 2 seconds and finish my, I guess, discussion of the show. What's wrong? What are some of the things that I had issues with at the end? Was that the ending was anticlimactic a little bit. The fact that also one of the later arcs, so you know how the story kind of progresses to each of the characters' kind of background a little bit? Like each
Mm-hmm.
thing is
Mm-hmm.
tied to their history, starting with
Mm-hmm.
13, right? Or 13,000 in Chinese. 1,000. So Luo Ren, Zhong Weilong's character, right? His arc
Mm-hmm.
is almost like the second to last arc, because the last arc is like kind of the everyone together final battle type of arc. The individual arcs end with his own arc, where he used to be kind of like, he wasn't a mercenary, but he used to be like kind of like with a bunch of people in a foreign country, and all his friends died basically. And there's like a villainess played by a Korean actress, and it is so freaking long and tedious. I think I texted you, right? What was wrong with that arc was
Mm-hmm.
really overacting or bad acting by I don't know, because of the actress or because of the direction choices, because she's playing kind of like this maniacal crazy bee, you know what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
out for vengeance to get him. But you're just like, if you watch it with some of the comments I had on, like there were people commenting in Chinese like, you're supposed to be scary, not like like silly, like
Mm-hmm.
傻了, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you overdid it, kind of like that, right? So you're just like, oh my god, she's not gonna scare me to death, she's gonna annoy me to death.
Mm. And how many episodes was that? Was that like 2 to 3 episodes of that?
It felt way too long. It was probably
Mm.
really, if you condensed it together, like 2 to 3 meaningful episodes of plot, but she kind of shows up starting like earlier a little bit, right? Like there's some overlap between their arcs always, right? So like before one story is completely wrapped, the next one kind of starts, and sometimes they will split up a little bit, so it's like in parallel. So that's why
Mhm.
it's like, oh my god, is she still alive? Is she still here? The good thing is, of course, she will get neutralized. And what I do like is, obviously I like Arepan a lot. So I do say that his character is the weakest, right? Well, other than Fatty, but he's the smartest, and he always comes through for them.
Mm.
Like, he actually is pretty smart if you watch the show, and he helps kind of neutralize the villains a lot of time.
Hmm.
But he also, I feel like, has the most tragic storyline, because if you step back, the other thing about the show I'll note is that it treats tragedy head on but lightly. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. If you looked at them, you're like, wow, these are really like sad situations. You already saw like 13,000's background with the parents
Yeah.
perishing in the village. That was pretty sad, right?
Mhm.
Well, later he meets he and the fatty get kind of taken hostage by this ape lady. And she basically befriends them, or he befriends her, because
Oh,
he's
I
really
saw that
smart.
one. That's in the
Oh, you
cave,
did?
right? Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
you did. That was
Mhm.
sad. Did you get to the end of that
Yes,
arc?
yes, yes,
So
yes.
that was
That
really
was sad.
sad, right?
Yes.
And then
Mhm.
he gets buried alive later. You're like, what? You're like, but he doesn't die, and there's a reason. But anyways, I won't tell you why. So anyways, you're just like, wow. If you step back, and then like Mu Dai's mom is pretty horrible. Like her sass tragic story is her childhood basically, because she was like a unwanted pregnancy, if that makes sense, and
Mm.
her mom was
Yep.
like alcoholic, so she abandoned her at an orphanage. So that's her sass story. Like, and then at one point, Fatty goes back to his village, and you realize, as they're talking, the friends, right? They're like, you should go see your parents because you're the only one who has a home to go to. And
Mm.
it's such a casual comment, but you realize they're right. These are
Yeah.
all orphans. They
Yeah.
have like no one left in this world other than each other.
Is that why that bacon was like going after them? Is that a reason?
Well, spoilers, right? If you don't mind, is that they are actually somewhat descendants of previous people of the Phoenix Squad. You know how they call themselves the Phoenix Squad?
Yes.
No? Okay.
Yes.
So they're kind of like descendants, they realize at the very end, of the previous Phoenix Squad people. And I think the relics chose them for a reason. They need them as a conduit to succeed in whatever, coming together. And
Hmm.
they actually got visions throughout the show, right, of what's going to happen next. And also, they
Mhm.
started having visions of the past about the relics. And what they
Oh.
realized at very near the end is that their previous incarnations killed themselves.
Oh.
So they were like, "Oh, do we all have to die?" They no, real see, that's what I'm saying. It's actually, if you think
For
about
the
it, there's like
relics to
some
not exist, or to get
to
rid of the relics, to kill the
to
relics,
right,
to
or
wipe
to
them, right?
neutralize them, right? So they
Yeah.
are facing death at the end, basically. Like, that's the final arc where they're like, do we have to kill ourselves, or do we give it a go? And it was like a 50-50 chance something might succeed. So that was the final arc. Like, in that sense, right? Like, they're kind of like, it's a very bittersweet mentality throughout, right? There's a theme of like tragedy throughout, but they overcome it, and it's a happy ending, and they adopt a chicken. Well, Fatty adopts a chicken, but becomes group chicken.
Yeah.
The chicken comes through and saves the date a few times, so that's kind of hilarious too.
Hmm.
But there's always that. What I liked about show is the camaraderie, the humor. There's always humor. As tragic as the situations could be, there's always humor,
Mhm.
and it's almost like, no, dust yourself. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and life goes on. Like, that's kind of how they are, and it's a very admirable quality to see.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you liked
So
it, but like
I did.
with everything, yeah.
I would recommend people watch it. It's a fun show. It's not like your typical Chinese dramas, at least not the ones we typically watch. Everyone's really good to look at. It's got good chemistry. Maybe fast forward through the leopard arc with the crazed lady who's gonna annoy you to death. Um,
So what rating would you give it? Like,
8.8.
oh, okay.
So the reason it's 8.8 was because I gave Deep Affection Eyes 8.95. So I'm like, well, objectively speaking, I think most people would join that one better than this because the appeal, right? It's more niche, I think, with
Mm-hmm.
Seven Relics. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
reason. But 8.8 is pretty high
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
book.
It's a pretty good score.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I still plan to keep watching it, just need to find some time. Like you said, if I can do it like arc by arc, then it's actually not too bad to chase it.
Yeah, you can bridge gaps between shows or, writing sessions with an episode or five.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, now we have the new shows, which you watch more episodes of than I did. So I'll have
Mm-hmm.
to let you lead the way. Wanted to do Immortal Ascension, right?
Yes, a show I never meant to check it out.
It's like I was the one that's like, "Do you want to watch that? Do you want to watch that? Do you want to check it out?" And you're
No,
like, "No." You
no,
kept saying no, and
no.
then you're like, "All right, I started." I'm like, "Wait, I didn't even start yet."
Well, the reason I watched Immortal Ascension was because you were going to check it out and because I actually started on The Legend of the Female General first, and then I was like, so a little preview.
Yes.
Uh, so I don't have much to say about Immortal Ascension. It's better than I thought. What
Mm.
I mean by that is Yang Yang is better than I thought because, I have apprehensions about Yang Yang ever since Level 2 and then You Are My Glory. He is just so bland.
Are those the only two shows you've ever seen him in?
Yeah, like full shows. Well, not full shows, but
Oh,
yes.
okay. Okay. I can see why you would. No, I liked them when I watched them, but I actually tried to rewatch Love 020, did not age well. And then it's very dated in the style. And then You Are My Glory. I like the novel for that, so I have a sweet spot, like a soft spot, I mean, for it. So anyways, yeah. So you were saying about Yang Yang in this one.
So I think this suits him because all he has to do is be. I mean, the story is basically like it's a video game based. It's based on like the genre is really like the Chinese equivalent of Japanese like shonen stories, right? Shonen anime or
Mm-hmm.
shonen manga, which is appeals to guys, boys genre, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's very much like watching a video game. I mean, the story boils down to the story of an underdog young man who outwits and outlasts everyone else. The end.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah, so
that's it.
this one, I mean, I think the last Yang Yang thing I watched was You Are My Glory. I know he's done other things, but you had told me he did an interview where he kind of kept a low profile, and I guess this has been in the works for at least 2 to 3 years, and it's based off of an IP. I don't know if it's a manga or a web novel. I think it's manga, but I could be wrong. So I think this was actually hotly anticipated, and then the YouTube algorithm kept like, trying to tell me watch this, and I'm like, so I that was the only reason I knew about it. I'm not on top of Yang Yang news. I will say, one of the dramas that I like Yang Yang from is an old one called The King's Avatar, which was also I think based on a web novel. And in that one, that was literally like a video game one where he is like
Yes.
a top video gamer, and there's like almost no romance in that, and I watched it purely for like him, and he was much younger than that, but he has like a little team and they all do esports together, and it's like really rah-rah. But I thought he was fine in that, and I thought that was a role that he can play very well. Like when he's just sort of a team member, he can play that very well, and I think here it's actually quite similar. I
Yes.
don't know if there's a romance later, but like right now you're just watching him go from nothing to trying to learn more. He kind of got tricked into being the disciple of
Mhm.
a master who really wants him for his spirit, was it
Yep.
spirit root?
Yep.
And so he basically is they're basically cooking him, I think, because they keep putting him in like tub of herbs, and they're like, just keep bathing and keeps absorbing these special herbs, to strengthen him. But in the process, he learns how to be a healer because the master is also a physician. So, I only watched 5 episodes. You watched 13, you
13.
said?
I'm up to
Yeah.
13.
So I would say at the 5 episode mark, I'm still very interested in his story. I think I texted you. I said, like if I and I don't want to be like, there's no gender bias. I think girls and boys can watch this. But if I were to speak more like traditional, like I feel like this is a show little boys would like to watch. It's like a fairy tale adventure tale. Just
That's
about a
what I
guy
said.
who
It's
came
a
from
shonen
nothing, right?
story.
Yes.
It's a
And I
shonen
think,
genre.
but because he's sort of known for like he's very handsome, right? He's easy on the eyes, and I think a lot of female audiences are tuning in to look at his face, right? But I think as a story, it doesn't I don't think it matters if you're male, female, young or old. I think it's a story that people will recognize and you just want to root for him. He's sort of like a male Mary Sue. I mean, he
Yeah, he's a
really
Gary
can't
Stu.
yeah, Gary
He's a
Sue,
Gary
right?
Stu.
Yeah,
No,
he can't
Stu. Gary
really
Stu.
Gary Stu.
Yeah.
He really can't. I mean, as far as I can tell, he really can't go wrong. Like things just keep
Nope.
kind of falling into his lap. Like, hey, here's a book. I'll teach you what to do. And oh, here's some herbs. This will make you stronger. And so, you're really just watching. Like you called it Superman, right? Like there's really he's just gonna get stronger. And so, for me, the story is gonna probably if it keeps going like this, I don't know how long I can go for. I imagine he will have to hit some sort of wall where it makes it more interesting and the stakes are higher. But
Not so far. He
not so
just
far.
always and I asked our friend who likes the original IP, and he's like, "I'm not watching this. I don't want to watch Young Young Ruin IP." So he's like, "No, no,
Mm.
you're exactly right. This exactly like just like the world just keeps getting bigger, right? Like, oh, overcome this. Oh, but there's someone bigger dog. Oh, let's overcome the next big dog." So it is fun to a certain point, just like video games. You're always leveling up, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there is not, if you're looking for, like you said, romance. I mean, there is some sort of that happening where it's again very fantastical, right? They basically like aphrodisiac helps them get together, and you're just like, what? Like,
Is it
goodness, and
necessary?
I have issues with the casting of all the actresses. Okay, so I'm not even gonna go there. And funny thing is, it's directed by a Yang, the female director, right? Also named Yang Yang. So Yang Yang directing Yang
Oh.
Yang.
Oh, that's
And
funny.
yet you're like, how did you cast all these women? So I think it's enjoyable. I think the earlier episodes where you are was more enjoyable for me than where I got to. It started getting like a little bit pedantic, and it could be the story arc it takes. Like he joins a sect, right? And he's to train the
Mm-hmm.
sect, and they have to do competitions. It's kind of like Naruto. If you ever liked
Yes.
Naruto, the first
Mm-hmm.
100 episodes were great. Then it was just like interminable, and you're just like, right? And then there was no more emotional depth sometimes. I mean, Naruto actually had more emotion, I feel like, sometimes than this, okay? There is absolutely no emotional stakes here other than, gosh, that guy is really skeevy. Let's kill him. Oh, he's gonna die anyways because he's a bad guy. Bad guys are all get annihilated by him or by someone else or something. Happenstance.
Yeah.
Like, you can be guaranteed if you want to see hero overcome, triumph, this is the show for you. You're always
Yeah.
gonna level up. Okay?
Yeah.
And if you like Yang Yang, he's good in this because this is the type of what I was trying to say earlier when you asked me was this is the type of role he's suited for. Like, remember I texted you, I said he's kind of like the action version of Tom Cruise. I mean, Tom
Mm-hmm.
Cruise is basically an action star now, but he used to kind of do other shows, like sorry, other type of genres, right? More dramatic. Yang
Mm-hmm.
Yang is more just like, let's be a stalwart action hero, rah 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 type. You know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he did apparently a lot of his own wire work. I guess those are
Yeah.
like actually I don't know. I saw on Reddit now like a lot of people are doing like the before and after post production like side by side. So you see
Yeah.
he's basically filming in an all green screen like and he's on this pole that is just twirling him mid-air to get so I was surprised because usually those are CG generated, but they actually had him do the actual stunts. And I guess like after filming, he actually had to get surgery because he injured himself filming.
Mm.
So I would say he probably like dedicated a lot physically for this role. Um, and when you talk about like emotional depth or whatever, like I'm not gonna microanalyze it because I'm too early in, and I don't think this is that type of show. But I do think it's interesting that they do a lot of voiceovers of what he's thinking while
Yes.
he's interacting with the world, and it kind of gives you insight. Like he's a very simple man. He just wants to not get killed, and he's just like, oh,
Yes.
you guys are so noisy. I just need to hear this so I can find out the truth and I can move on and not be around you people. Like, and I thought that was kind
Yes.
of funny. Like, I don't know if that's in the original IP, but I thought that was interesting, is an interesting directing choice because you don't have to hear his thoughts, but they actually do it a lot, at least in the first 5 episodes. So I don't know if they continue that. I think I would like it because I think it makes him actually a little bit more interesting than just a bland hero who is so super smart, because it shows that he's actually not super smart. He's just trying to eavesdrop and he's just trying to
He
like figure things out.
he's super self-preserving and super like he's cautious, right? That's why he survives, really.
Mm-hmm.
And he has very good luck on his side and a helping hand, which you'll find out. Well, you don't find out. I don't find out yet, but I know why he is so lucky. Our friend who
Oh,
likes the IP told me, he's like, oh,
oh.
basically another version of him who is super powerful gave him the bottle of the elixir.
I was wondering about that green bottle because it hasn't been brought up again.
That's the source of all his kind of winning streak, right?
He uses it to cultivate.
Yes. Multiverse thing happening, kind of. Well,
Oh,
no, he is low cultivation, but so far what you see is he uses it where I am to grow herbs really quickly because
yes,
it,
yes.
right? Because unfortunately, rabbits cannot eat it; they'll explode. I don't understand Chinese shows where they kill animals left and right. It's always a rabbit or a chicken. I mean,
They don't
chicken you
show it at
understand more.
least. It's
No,
off
but you're just
camera.
like, come on, dude. Anyways,
There's some meme. I don't know where it's from. I think it's a live stream where Yang was talking and he suddenly busts out this giant green bottle. And people are like, where did that come from? Like he had it like off camera and then he suddenly pulled it up. It's
yeah.
not the prop, it's like a giant green bottle. And they're like, oh, someone prepared that for him. So I was like, okay, that's an important thing in the show, I think. That he needed a
Yes.
pseudo prop. So
Yes. Oh, so you haven't gotten to it where you are, right?
mm-mm, no.
So I
No.
would say that there's also more heart in the beginning because his Sifu and him have a very complicated relationship. And I would say that at the beginning is when he's actually the most happiest in some ways because he's so unaware of what's about to happen, right? He is
Mm,
innocent and naive until he wisens up to what is happening, right? And then he's
yeah.
cautious. But even though he ultimately had to overcome his Sifu who's out to kill him, basically,
Yeah.
he is sad about it. You can sort of see, right? He buries the guy
Yes.
where he thinks he would like to be, and he does the right thing by going to his family because the guy basically set him up to go to the family, and he
Yeah.
kind of knows the guy would set him up, right? But he still
Yes.
does it. Like it's that kind of like that part was more like I think the most complicated emotionally speaking
Yes.
undercurrent that I've seen
Mm-hmm.
so far up to
Yeah.
episode 13.
I don't I think the guy who plays the Sifu, he's like an award-winning actor as well in China. I don't know because I saw people like, who is he? And they were like people are naming him. So I didn't look him up, but I think he's probably like a really seasoned actor that they got to play that sort of heavy
Yeah.
role, actually. Like someone that had made an
Mhm.
impression, even though he has very he's only in there for a very short amount of time, but definitely made an impression. Yeah, he was kind of an interesting
Yeah.
character as well.
So it's a good time passer. It's better than like I said than I thought. I would say that what irks me about it is that it's kind of bland still overall
Mm,
as a show.
yeah.
I'm not a Young fan, so I don't think I'll keep watching unless I have absolutely nothing better to do. Which it's like I said, it's great if I'm walking the cats or running. No, don't run actually. Working out. It's a working out show. How's that? But I also find that the visuals are jarring for me. Like it's a realism that I don't need, if that makes sense, right? Because it's very real. They shot it in real scenery, and there's that graininess to it, almost like you're watching a Hong Kong martial arts film from the 1970s and 80s,
Mm,
right? And except there's special effects, right? That's
yeah.
flying around, and you're just like,
Mm-hmm.
why? What did you do? Or it's like watching Godzilla from 1960, you know? Like that filmic like color gradient and the filmic thing. And then a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, if not everyone, uses their real voice. Here I'll have to say Yang at least speaks proper Chinese like Mandarin. I understand everything he says. It's a clear voice. with good enunciation. Everyone else, I have a hard time, okay? You're like, oh my god, does everyone have such bad accents in China?
Oh, that's interesting because I can't tell, so it doesn't jar me as
Yeah.
much.
It's
Interesting.
really hard to discern
Huh.
half the time what they're saying, or they have weird tones. You know, the Sifu is hard to understand. The female lead, when she shows up, you're just like, yeah, anyways, I won't go there. So, anyways, anything else you want to speak about Immortal Ascension?
No, I think for me, I'm gonna keep going, until it
Mhm.
hit a wall. Like I'm not at the point where I'm like, oh, I want to drop it. I'm actually interested in how because right now where I'm at, he's like stuck in a forest. He's trying to leave the forest, and people are coming after him. So I'm like, I want to at least know how he gets out of that. So I'm gonna keep
Yep.
going.
Yep. And he'll be in another forest in no time.
Yeah, another
It's
fake real forest.
It's a lot of forests, okay? They're just in the wild a lot. They must have, the whole thing is realistic because they filmed it outdoors the whole time, it feels like. Anyways, so last show,
Yeah,
The Legend of the Female General.
I only watched 2 episodes, so
And
okay, I will say all I thought the whole time I'm watching the first 2 episodes was this is like Mulan, but like if Mulan didn't have to be conscripted and wear a mask. And, and then she's kind of back to the beginning because she's trying to restart her military life. So she's in the
uh-huh.
barracks, and I'm like, oh, this is and I'm talking about like Disney's version of Mulan, not China's version of Mulan. So hot springs and all. So I was like, ugh, I don't know. I liked Oh Yeah, but I told you before I started watching that I cannot. It's really hard to cast, I think, a female actress as someone who has been in the military if they don't. I don't know. I feel like if you know you're gonna play a general, you should go like buff up, right? Like just a little bit, just to look like you could have been serving or training in the army. And she just looks very like I actually thought the mask part was kind of a good like a smart way to trick people because otherwise it would have been completely unbelievable that she rose to the level of general. But then because she's restarting her military life and she has no mask, I'm like, okay, now that's not so believable. Anyways, those are my quick thoughts after 2 episodes.
Yeah, so I didn't think, oh, this is Mulan, but I just thought, I had the same thought, which is, gosh, it's really hard to believe that no one thinks that she's a girl, right? Like absolutely no one. Now the guy does find out she's a girl at episode 4, and because she leans on him on horseback, and I guess he felt her, and then people are like, are her boobs that noticeable? Like, I mean, if I leaned on you, right, and we are, we got big knockers, okay? For anyone who cares, would you actually be like, oh, that's a girl? I don't know. Right? Anyways, that's not the point here. The point is that's the only way he realizes she's a girl. Not because she's this petite little thing that looks so sprightly and cutesy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they go, oh, they kind of work it into the story, like, oh, you're so petite, I'm like, okay, you guys obviously noticed that she's probably small to have the sword like that, but yet nobody questions anything, right?
Yeah.
But so I did enjoy the show when I first started it, but there's something really weird about the show in that I feel like, I mean, it's supposedly based on the big IP, right? Like novel. I feel like the elements are there for interesting story, and
Mm-hmm.
they're acting it out, but something is off. And it's not just the whether is she believable as a female disguised as a male. I don't know, is it that they have no chemistry? See, the thing is, I like Zoya too, and I like the
Mm-hmm.
guy enough to be like I'm not turned off by Ryan Chen, right? But they don't seem to click. It's not that they don't have chemistry, but it's almost like she's like a little kid. So at some point, you only have episode very soon after. At some point, she pretends to be his nephew, and she's like Jojo, Jojo. She calls him uncle, uncle, and I was like, yes, that feels more correct. He is your uncle.
Is
Does
he a
that
lot
make sense?
older? Wait, is he a lot older?
Ryan Chen is 30 something, so yes. He is
Okay.
older, and it's not about whether he looks old or not, right? Some people are like, oh, he's so ugly. I'm like, no, he's not. He's not your pretty boy, but he's actually
He's manly.
he's
He
got
actually looks
he,
like he could be in the army or the military.
yeah, he's fine. I think from a standalone role fit, I think it's the two of them next to each other. You're like, yes, this would be a better thing if this was like Daddy Longlegs, right? He is the older guy, right, in a much
Mm-hmm.
more paternalistic um relationship with her. But of course, a lot of people these days would be like, oh, that's you, gross, right?
Well, no, it's not possible. Didn't they train together? As
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
so
They're supposed
they
to be
can't have an
peers.
age gap.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's I think, to me, that was one of the issues. He's too mature for her. The dynamic is off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like they're going through the paces of the story, but without doing justice. I don't mean the actors, I mean the production for some reason. It's kind of like we're just going through the motions of it. And then I think I told you, right? Like I said, I don't know what's wrong with the production. The lighting seems really weird. Like it's just a wash and bad lighting. Like everything's brightly lit, right? And just like, what is
Mm-hmm.
happening here? There's no nuance. There's no nuance to
Yeah.
the storytelling, and there's no nuance to the actual visuals.
Actually, because I think you went from this show to the Immortal Ascension, where the lighting is actually quite pretty, like more, more shadow work, more realistic. I think when you go back to when you compare them side by side, I think it's probably more noticeable versus if you just watched it straight through and didn't have something kind of reminding you about how blindingly bright everything is. Um yeah, the way I think about it with this show is I don't know if I'll continue. I'm not at the point where I'm like turned off. I just don't know if it's a story I care about because it's sort of predictable, right? And if you're saying there's no chemistry, then it's not even fun to get to that
Yes.
predictable point.
The story is interesting to me. That's what I'm saying. I like the trope, right? The situations that, like, he knows she's a girl, but he's totally playing along. Like that's the type of trope I usually go for.
Mm-hmm.
But and I kept watching because I was like, oh, I want to find out more. Oh, I want to see them play out. But at some point, I was like, actually, I'd rather watch Immortal Ascension, even though I don't even like that show that much. That's telling, right? That's saying something
Mm-hmm.
is really missing about. That's what I'm saying. I can't put my finger on it, but the magic is missing. I mean, same situation. You could say Coroner's Diary is a very normal storyline. There's nothing special in all, right? But
Mm-hmm.
somehow there is magic there with the CP, with the actors and whatnot. Here it's like, okay, all right, I get where you're going. I want to know what happens. And I actually watch you two play it out, but then what? Oh, there'll be more of this. Okay, that's nice. Like that's how I feel, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
it's not like I actively want to drop it. To your point, exactly what you said, I don't know if I need to go on.
Right.
Take it or leave it. It's a very take it or leave it situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I have to say, they don't put a lot of makeup on her. Sometimes, when they say the female just is like a male in these dramas, they
Yes.
still put like girly makeup. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I feel like here they actually tried really hard to not give her they gave her a very natural look. But the fact is she's probably so pretty in real life. That's just what she looks like without much makeup.
She's too cutesy.
She's really pretty and photogenic. And so like you can't really buy her as being this like even if you want to call her a boy, right? Like who's been in the army for 8 years or whatever. Like you can't really she does not exude that. And it's a hard sell. And I mean, I guess it doesn't even matter because he finds out, like you said, he finds out soon after that she's a girl. So like you don't even have to suspend disbelief at that point. You're just like, all right, he knows. Jig is up. Like let's get to the point where she realizes he knows. And so and then what, right? So
Well, I got to that point. It wasn't that exciting, okay? I'm sorry. He
it wasn't a good
basically
payoff.
it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. There's absolutely there's no like crescendo. There's no moment. Like the story is lacking oomph for some reason. They're just
Mm.
going through the paces of telling what could have been a pretty interesting story.
Yeah, like you said, Immortal Ascension, you're like, oh, what are the risks, if he's a Gary Stu? But I still like feel there's still like you still want to root for him, right? Versus here,
Yeah.
like, do you want to root for them? Like even if life is not perfect for them and they're not as perfect, do you care enough? And
Yeah.
it sounds like a no. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more to work with in this story, yet they're not doing much with it. Immortal Ascension has basic story. Like there's not much to work with, lovers wise, right? Yet it's more engaging or exciting to watch.
Interesting. Then it's all about execution, I think.
Yes, I think I would lay it on that. Poor execution.
Yeah.
Poor production.
Yeah. So I guess you're not going to continue, or you're still going to try, you think?
I haven't tried for the last 3 days.
Yang took over.
Actually, I stopped trying with Yang Yang except when doing dishes and walking the cat. So
Well, that's still more than what Zhou is getting. So.
yeah, well, I feel like I need to wait for a new batch of shows to start or revisit some non C dramas because I mean I have to say it's hard to come off of Coroner's Diary and Deep Affection Eyes and find something else to watch that it's gonna appeal in the same way. I mean, and then finishing Seven Relics. I might have to go watch Hero is Back. Actually, the last Auripan show that I haven't. Well, it's not the last, but one of the other ones I haven't fully checked out. The one that was like, it looks like Power Rangers. Then I can do an actual Auripan.
I saw the stills and I'm like, ooh. No,
He looks good
thing.
in it, and it has Zhang Yuxi in it. You know.
No, I know. It might be good, but you said did it do well? I didn't even know about it. It's recent. It came out like last year or something, right?
Yeah, it didn't
Pretty
do
recent.
well, but it's a very
Yeah.
genre show, so I still don't know how she got it herself casted. I'm like, him doing it, I can see, but her doing it, why?
I mean, I think she's trying. She tries different genres for sure. I think it's hard. I mean, like I said, I don't want to use age as a thing, but that's common in China, so I'm using their standards. But she is already like in her almost her mid-30s. But for her to get away with a lot of these roles that younger actresses would usually get is pretty good. And I admire her for that. I think, she knows her appeal, she understands it, and she's just doing whatever comes her way because she probably won't have as many opportunities in the next few years if she doesn't break out in these, next year or so. I think Deep Affection Eyes did well, right? It got like they got like variety. There was a variety show. We were like, oh, it's only the main two people who are in this variety show. Like, where are the other people?
The most boring variety. Wait, did you ever watch the Coroner's Diary
No, I
variety
haven't
show?
had a chance. I intend to. So I saw that Mango on YouTube has the Deep Affection variety episodes. I
Yes.
did not check to see if I can find the Coroner's Diary one.
What do you
I
mean? I
assume.
put the link in our description. Show
Oh,
descriptions.
yeah,
last
you're right. You're right.
time. Dude.
You're right. I haven't clicked on it. Sorry. But
Ah.
yeah, I intend to watch them all. I just haven't had time. It was hard enough to catch up on all these dramas.
All right. Anyways, on that note, I guess we're done. I think maybe we'll switch gears next time and do some non-Chinese drama for once. My brain needs a break from the mediocre run so far.
It wasn't so bad. We had Deep Affection Eyes.
No, after Deep Affection and Coroner's Diary.
Oh, yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
I said, it's
Yeah.
drama doldrums, and I unfortunately my prediction came true.
Yes. Oh, hopefully the doldrums are only for a couple weeks and then there'll be something new to check out.
Yes, there are 2 shows I think I texted you that are coming out later this week as we're recording. So it'll probably be out by the time this comes out from adaptations of novels from the same author. So they should be both somewhat comedic in some ways. But starring people I don't really care for, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, if I can watch Yang Yang and Immortal Ascension.
Yeah, if you're watching Yang Yang, I mean, that's already a big step for you. Because I know you were like, I'm not watching this. You said, I have 0 interest. And then you're like, oh, I'm on episode 3. It's not bad. I'm going to keep going. I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off as you were trying to sign off.
It's okay. More love for Yang Yang.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.